Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And we are back with another Q&A video.
Yes.
Last week, on Tuesday, we did a Q&A video. This is part 2 of that. We're actually filming it right after the recording of the other one. We're doing these because typically on Tuesdays, we like to start conversations with you guys, but then those conversations continue in the comments below. On this video specifically, we have solicited questions from you guys that we want to answer here on screen to have a little bit more of a back and forth with y'all.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, we think it's a fun premise for a video series. We would like to do them more often. If you like it, let us know in the comments below that you like this style. These are unedited, other than like color grading and switching camera angles and stuff. But it's a little bit more of like a podcasty style format, but it's us answering questions from you guys
that you have asked us.
Yes. And
Let's get into it.
If there's whiskey topics you want to see us answer or talk about, put those in the comments below.
Oh, yeah.
And we can talk about those. Like if there's a specific thing in whiskey that you want to see us address.
Yeah.
With that said, let's go ahead and get into our questions.
All right.
Where are we at?
So, TJG9950 asks, what's the best bourbon that's not talked about enough? I think we have the same answer, so I'll let you answer this one.
It's actually, well, in my glass right now.
What you're drinking, not what I'm drinking.
Yeah, every time I have this blind, it impresses me with how good it is. This is Michter's Small Batch.
US 1.
US 1 bourbon. People lose their mind. I mean, first off, let me just say, everybody's talking about Rare Breed. Everybody's talking about...
Which Rare Breed is amazing. It's our favorite.
Knob Creek single
Don't get me wrong.
barrels. Those are the high value, heavy hitters. Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, high proof, heavy hitting pours for a good value. Everybody knows about those. I'm not saying they're not worthy of speaking about because they're favorites.
The ones that are not talked about enough. And this is a good answer.
I honestly think if you're talking about 90 something proof pours under $50, like forget Eagle Rare and Buffalo Trace and Elmer T. Lee and all that stuff. Just go get a bottle of Michter's Small Batch bourbon.
And for the proof point, it drinks much higher. It drinks like about 100 proof, which I say is a good solid.
I don't think it drinks with the heat of 100 proof. I think it drinks with the flavor of 100 proof. It's got a ton of flavor at a low proof point. It's approachable for newcomers to the hobby, and for that matter,
people who just don't like hot whiskeys.
For that matter, Michter's Rye, the single barrel rye, $45.
I love Michter's Rye.
And here's why I think they don't get talked about is because it's a low proof point for a relatively high price tag, $45 on the shelf.
Considering the proof, yeah.
I personally pass them over myself, and I know how good it is. But I always kind of balk at the price, and then we end up putting it into a blind head-to-head, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe it's that good for that amount of money. So anyways, I think this is the answer to that question. Yep. All the other stuff stands. Early Times Bottled and Bond, Rare Breed, Knob Creek Single Barrels.
But people are talking about those.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next question. Amy Richards 690 asks, what's your top 5 must-have bottles for someone who's newish to bourbon? Ooh, that's a tough one, and I'm going to defer to Josh.
Michter's Small Batch?
Yeah.
Bourbon. Okay.
Although...
Jokes aside.
Yeah, newish. That's got a lot of flavor.
So newish, I would say you probably don't want to spend a lot of money.
Correct.
Don't break the bank.
Yeah.
You need to find what your flavor profile is. What do you actually like?
And if you're newish, you don't know that yet. So you do need to experiment.
So what I think the move is to stick to legacy distilleries, try different profiles. Also, if you stick to legacy distilleries, instead of going out and buying 5 750 milliliter bottles, you can probably buy like little shooters and try those neat in a rocks glass or a Glencairn or something. You know, you can find stuff. You can find...
Would you recommend drinking neat to someone who's new?
I would recommend trying it. I would recommend taking a sip, letting it sit on your tongue for a few seconds, letting it kind of mingle with everything in your mouth, and then swallowing it down. Don't just shoot it back like a shot.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
Take a sip, let it sit, then swallow it down. Know you're drinking alcohol. Give yourself a couple sips to get acclimated to what you're drinking. You're not probably going to like it on the first sip.
I always say the second sip is my first sip because the first sip gets you acclimated to the fact that it is alcohol. And I drink every time we film, and my first sip is always just me getting acclimated to the alcohol in the alcohol.
Yeah.
And then the second sip is when I can actually taste things.
So here's what I would say, specifically 5 bottles, if you want to ask me that specific question.
Yes, that was the question.
Right. Let's answer that specifically.
Let's do it.
Legacy distilleries, you don't want to spend too much money, but you don't want to cheap out either because you want to get a good quality product. I would say you want to try to buy a bottle of Maker's Mark. These are things you can find on the shelf pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
Maker's Mark, Woodford Reserve, Buffalo Trace if you can get it. If you can't get Buffalo Trace, get Bowman Brothers small batch or 1792 small batch. One of those 3 bottles is going to be available in your market. I would recommend getting a bottle of Knob Creek 9-year, 100 proof.
Okay.
You're going to get to see what age and proof do to a whiskey. And then I would recommend getting a bottle of Wild Turkey 101.
Oh, yeah. That's solid. That's a solid.
Those 5. I mean, 25, 30. I mean, you're looking at about $100 investment.
For 5 bottles?
For 5 bottles.
That's not bad.
Maybe a little bit more than that with tax. You might be pushing 150. But you're not going to get any bad whiskey. If you don't like it neat, you can use it to mix into something. And you're going to be able to try each of those 5. And then once you find one that you like if you like Maker's Mark, that's going to steer you in a specific direction for new products to try. If you like Knob Creek, again, steer you in a new direction. So you're going to get a good smattering of whiskey types doing that. I think that's a good list.
I like it. Yeah. All right, next question. R. Hayes 458 asks, what advice would you give for trying to host a casual whiskey tasting event with friends? That's a great question.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay. I do have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
First off, you got to know your crowd. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you have a bunch of experienced drinkers who like high proof powerhouse pours, don't get low proof stuff. If you have a group of newbies, do not blow their face off with high proof, heavy handed sledgehammer pours. Cater to your audience and do a little bit of research.
What if you have a mixture of both?
Well, put a mixture of products in. Because what you might find is some of the lower proof people that say they like low proof. If they get a really good, high quality, high proof pour, they might actually like it more.
They might not realize
because it has more flavor, but they just think they don't like high proof because they tried something that was high proof and kind of
burny.
Yeah. And then
a very
they got turned
well
off of it.
balanced high proof pour can have no burn, and that's really surprising and delicious when you find it.
Oh, 100 proof can drink like 120 proof, and 120 proof can drink like 100 proof if it's done well. So I would say that's the first thing.
Okay.
Secondly, beyond that, pick what you want. Like, try to maybe set up a theme or make it fun somehow.
Yeah.
You know?
You like to do the themes. When you do our blind samples for our Patreon, you pick a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's oftentimes an available versus allocated bevy of products or something that's very expensive versus a lot of inexpensive things. But we do it blind. If you're not doing it blind, just having a variety of things, maybe a variety of price points, flavor profiles, proof points, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, cater to your audience. Most important thing, probably, honestly, know your crowd. If it's a tasting, it's a tasting. If you're just getting together to drink with buddies, that's a whole different ball game. If it's a tasting, make sure everybody has a chance to sober up or they have a sober ride. This is in the whiskey tasting space. This probably isn't talked about enough, but make sure everybody can get home safely. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's no amount of fun that you're going to have on this whiskey tasting is worth someone's life or even a DUI. Take care of your people.
Yes.
Take care of your friends. Presumably they're your friends if they're coming to your whiskey tasting. Make sure they're taken care of. That's your job as the host. So there's that.
Good. All right. Good answer. Good question. Thank you. All right. Barry Hawk asks, what do you think is going to be the next big trend? Toasted finished in secondary casks have run its course. Now, American single malt seems to be the new big idea. Where do you see distilleries going in the future?
Do you have an answer to this?
I do not, because I'm not as plugged in as you are into the trends.
If you're new here, I'm the whiskey nerd. She is a social drinker.
I'm a whiskey enthusiast who likes to drink with you guys.
Right, but doesn't care to know all the distillery nuances and all that stuff.
You are the nerd, so answer the nerd question.
Honestly, this is hard to predict. I try not to think about this question too much. It is a good question, though.
It is.
I honestly think Barry's kind of spot on. American single malts are where the money is going from big distilleries. Like, they're focusing on that. The fact that you've got people like Jack Daniels and Jim Beam focusing on putting money into developing an American single malt product speaks volumes.
Yep.
I mean, when you're dealing with big companies, follow the money. That will tell you what's happening in the market.
I feel like that's when solving a crime or dealing with anybody, you just follow the money, right?
There you go.
That's the key to life.
There you go. So that is what I would say, American single malt.
Okay.
I'm not convinced finishing has run its course because good finishing is always going to stick around. I mean, it's I think a new concept in bourbons and ryes, but still in Scotches and Irish and other international whiskeys, finishing is just part of the process.
Yeah.
I think it's going to kind of dovetail in. What I would like to see is a focus on finishing to craft a higher quality product rather than finishing to change the flavor and mask a young whiskey. And I think we'll see more of that as more whiskey comes to age.
Gotcha.
But I think that's just over time.
Yeah.
It's going to become more a part of what we're doing. I think American whiskey has kind of gotten, and rightfully so, a little bit of a knock from the international space of being a very narrow spectrum. And as finishing becomes more a part of it, I think the flavor spectrum is going to broaden. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing.
It can't help but broaden.
I think that's a good thing.
I like it.
Yep.
Good question, Barry. Thank you. Okay. Oh, we got another question from Barry.
Hey.
Did you do this on purpose,
Nope.
back to back?
Nope.
All right. So Barry Hawk also asks, are there any products or distilleries that are not producing that you wish they would?
Are there products that distilleries are not producing that we wish they would?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Are there any products distilleries are not producing that you wish they would? Yes.
Well, can I answer for you?
Yes.
I know you wish that non-chill filtered rare breed was on the shelves all the time.
God bless, yes.
Forget this travel exclusive,
I
duty free.
need non-chill filtered rare breed at my store.
Yes.
Right now.
I also think, and this is a funny question to answer from Barry, because he is in the military and can get access to Jack Daniel's bottled and bond, not the bonded that's on shelves everywhere, but the bottled and bond. We've not tried that product yet, although I've heard it's better than the bonded. We're not huge fans of the bonded.
Yep.
I think we would like the bottled and bond. So that's a product I wish was on shelves everywhere, not just at military bases.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't fret about what should be out there or what I wish was out there too much. I just honestly wish more stuff was available.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of stuff not being available, personally speaking, and I'm even getting burnt out on being that guy that goes into my local store that I frequent and asking, oh, hey, do you have this? You know, like, I'm even getting tired of that. So, like, I just want stuff to be available, to be honest with you. I know that's not the most creative answer to the question. It's how I feel, though.
Yeah. Well, my answer is 100%. I wish Wild Turkey Rare Breed non-chill filtered was in stores.
I wish that too.
Tell that to your senator, your whatever people do to make whiskey.
Yeah. By the way, Maker's Mark is coming out with a higher aged special release product. Although it's at 90 proof, I wish that was at cast strength. Although cast strength may not be much over 90 proof for all we know. But I do wish that Maker's Mark would come out with more age on it. That would be nice.
Good question, Barry. Thank you for your service as well. Okay.
Next up.
Travis Robeson, 306, asks,
Travis,
if you are a traditional bourbon lover, what 3 to 5 whiskeys, bourbon, from Tennessee could change your mind about Tennessee whiskey? Nashville Barrel Company.
Well, but that's not their whiskey. They're sourcing it. So when you're talking about Tennessee made whiskey.
He's the nerd.
I'm the nerd. When you're talking about Tennessee made whiskey.
Thanks, Travis.
What you're talking about, to me, in my opinion, Jack Daniel's is the behemoth in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't give Jack Daniel's the time of day because they think about Old Number 7 and they haven't tried any of their other products. But if you get the fancy looking little square bottles, I should have grabbed one before this episode started.
Those are the single barrel proofs?
Or the single barrel 94 proofs, or the Rise, or the barrel strength Rise that are coming out, or any of the special releases. That bottle, or any of
They're kind of square shaped bottles.
Yes, they will change your mind on Tennessee whiskey. So that's one for sure. I also think people need to give Chattanooga a try. Chattanooga whiskey
is kind of wild.
Try the 111, try the 91, try the 99 rye. Just the bottled and bonds are great. Like, try those. It is a higher malt content. I think it's very approachable for previous beer drinkers or beer enthusiasts who are dabbling in whiskey. So honestly, I think Jack Daniel's and Chattanooga are the two superstars of Tennessee.
Is Nelson Brothers made in Tennessee, or is it sourced?
No, it is contract distilled in Kentucky for them.
Okay.
So when you're talking about pure Tennessee whiskey, I think it's honestly Jack Daniel's and Chattanooga.
Different products within that line.
Right. And then the third one I'll put in here, it's a little bit more niche, is anything coming out of the Tennessee Distilling Group, which is out of Columbia, Tennessee, and it's products like Yellowbird, I think it is, which is a low-proof, easy sipper, but good flavor. But if you see any of the Heaven's Door products that are distilled in Tennessee that have like an 80% corn, 10% rye, 10% barley mash bill, Those are the types of products coming out of Tennessee Distilling Group. They're fantastic for the money, for the age, and you're going to hear more about them in years to come. Their stuff is just coming of age now in 2023. So you're going to hear more from Tennessee Distilling Group, although you're going to have to kind of do a little bit of sleuthing to find out what's from them, because they only exist to source to other people. They don't have their own products, and they're not super forthright about the fact that they're putting product out there.
So they put product out there, but they source to other companies.
Correct.
For them to finish and put out.
Yeah, Heaven's Door is a big user of their product. Yellowbird, they're going to have more stuff coming to market.
Gotcha.
So those are the three
Cool.
I think that actually are made here in Tennessee that can change people's mind.
I love it.
There's always Dickel, but it's very divisive.
It is.
Yeah.
I like Dickel, but
right.
that's neither here nor there.
Let's
All
keep
right.
it moving.
Last question. Gandy Road asks, which bottles of international whiskey or Scotch should I have in my collection to represent a well-rounded offering? Wow.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Me and Gandy Road went back and forth on this a little bit.
Okay.
Do you have an opinion on this?
I don't know, because I just like what I like. I don't know if it's well-rounded.
Okay. It's funny you should say that. We don't rehearse none of this beforehand. My Tennessee's coming out.
That was so southern. That was so southern of you, Joshua.
My Tennessee public education is coming out here. But thanks a lot, Metro Davidson Public Schools.
Hey, don't knock it.
But I'm not knocking it.
Okay.
I'm appreciative for where I come from. But point being, back in the day, I used to think like this all the time. Like, I want to have a well-rounded collection. What makes a well-rounded collection? And even now, in other things I'm interested in, I tend to think like, I want to get this and that and this and that.
You do.
And I want to be well-rounded.
With your watch collection, you want to be well-rounded.
With watches, with shoes, with wardrobe, with whatever. Like, I want to be well-rounded. But then at the end of the day, you just really end up reaching for what you like the most. Mm-hmm. So I honestly don't think being well-rounded is the best goal, even though it's the goal that I tend to gravitate towards too.
When you just naturally tend to gravitate towards, yeah.
And Gandy Road's asking, what do you do to gravitate towards that?
It's well-rounded.
I don't think it's a goal.
Here's my thought process. The 80-20 rule, if you reach for 80% of what you have, then it's a well-rounded collection. If you don't, at least 80%. Like, there's 80% that you reach for consistently. There's 20% that maybe are special, only for sharing, things you don't reach for all the time. But if you reach for 80% of what you have, then for you, it's a well-rounded collection. Yeah. And that's going to depend on you. My well-rounded collection is going to be very different than Josh's.
Yeah, for sure. And I honestly think, if you're trying to have a well-rounded collection, if that is the goal, which I don't think it should be the goal, honestly, I think you should just cater to your own taste unless you're specifically sharing with other people on a regular basis.
But I think that's well-rounded for you.
Right.
It's your collection, and if you're going to reach for it, then that's a well-rounded collection.
Well, and to Gandy Road's point, if without knowing his personal preferences, it's hard to say exactly what would be a well-rounded collection for him. For us, we primarily drink bourbon and rye. If we're going to kind of dovetail in some international whiskeys to round out our collection, for us, what that looks like is some really good but good value Irish whiskeys, some very good Scotches that don't break the bank.
Right. A mixture of peated and non-peated Scotches, because we do like peated Scotches. And
some international whiskeys that aren't Irish or Scotch that we want to bust out on occasion, just to get wild and have fun.
Like there's a good Indian single malt that I like, a Welsh single malt,
Japanese whiskey, things like that.
Yeah. So maybe one or two from each of those, and then a couple bourbons, a couple ryes that we like, and then you've got the spectrum. Right. The gamut spectrum. I was going to say, never mind.
I would tend to say one or two good lower proof bottles, one or two good higher proof or ABV bottles in whatever categories you're interested in, whether it be Scotch or Irish or Japanese or worldwide whiskey, American single malts, things like that. I would have kind of a low proof and high proof option or two for each, maybe a special bottle or two. And if you're not dipping into them that often, those bottles are going to last forever.
Yes. That being said, unless you've got the space to store a bunch of whiskey you don't drink. If you don't like peated Scotches, for example, like we do, don't buy them. Don't include that in your well-rounded collection.
Just for the sake of it exists, so I'm going to purchase it, even though I don't like it. I would recommend not
don't
doing
buy
that.
it.
It's a waste of money.
So if anything we've said, you're like, ooh, I hate Irish whiskey, then don't add that to your collection. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Rule number 1.
Know thyself.
Know thyself. To thine own self be true. Some poet or philosopher once said. I think it was Shakespeare.
Sure.
But if it wasn't, you can let me know in the comments below. Also, while you're down there in the comments below, let me know how wrong I am about so many things. Go ahead and hit the like button.
No, you're not.
Go ahead and hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe if you like this style of content. Let us know if you like this style of content, because we want to do more of these kind of conversational videos where we're more engaged with y'all's questions, covering topics you want to see covered. Let us know down there.
Yep.
Hit the bell down there, the notification bell, if you want to know when we're going live. We do that once a month. We would love for you to join us for a pour.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for this one.
That's it for today. Be good to each other, and until next time, cheers.
Cheers.